Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all genders, welcome to Crunch Axe's 6v6 tank tier list. I'm going to spend some time talking through my opinions on the tank balance in 6v6 as it currently stands. I've spent about 12-ish hours over the last few days in 6v6 and I have some pretty strong opinions on where the balance lies. Let's get into it. All right, guys. What we've got here is just our typical tier list generator. We have everybody in alphabetical order, but we're going to start with our tanks. Starting off real strong, we've got Doomfist in S tier. Doomfist is incredibly survivable in the 6v6 meta. He is in, out, and dealing tons of damage. With the way 6v6 currently stands, he is simply too survivable. We're going to see a couple of things with some of the dive tanks where I don't think any of them are bad, but currently Doomfist is one of the top ones. The ability to just get in and out and never have too much of a threat of dying unless the whole team turns on him just has him too good, in my opinion. Next up is D.Va. D.Va is a strong A tier. Defense matrix is fantastic. Her ability to get in and out as well is great. The ability to pressure long range with rockets and to dive a specific support is amazing. Hazard is very similar for the same reasons. His survivability is great, although he does suffer more than Doomfist, where if you can get around the back of him, which is actually easier to do because of the slower speed of his movement during block, he just melts a little bit more. Plus the ability to outrange the damage on the block. A lot of people are finding that range and starting to play around it much better. Next up, we have Junker Queen. Junker Queen is fantastic, but I think that she's in B tier. Anna is just able to absolutely counter so much of what you're doing. Kiriko being able to take off bleeds. There's so many counters, plus the fact that she has to play the close-up game just makes it so that she is struggling a little bit, but still very strong. Mauga's going to go back up in our A tier. His range is absolutely brutal. Being able to hit your E and watching your co-tank gain life is just insane. With certain tank combos, I think that he holds down the ranged game so well, and the fact that he can just charge in and interrupt the dive tanks or melee tanks or brawl tanks and live through it, depending on his tank partner, it's so good. Our next choice is Orisa. Orisa, I almost want to put in C. The fact that she can be crit while in gold, I understand how good that is, and if it was back, she would probably be A, if not S. The problem is that she just dies too quickly. Too many people are able to focus her, and it's really interesting because of the way that she frontlines and the way that she's supposed to. It's not just taking 5 people, it's taking all 6. You're getting both tanks just murdering her very quickly outside of some specific instances. Ramatra goes into our A tier. The fact that he can play the long range game and then hit shift and just go into Nemesis form and absolutely demolish people that come in on him is so fantastic. And again, he's able to do that to some of the squishies if the tanks try to ignore him. He's just got so many options. I love his AoE control ability to really hold things down and create space. I think he's just in a fantastic spot. The next tank we want to discuss is Reinhardt. I think Reinhardt is buoyed by certain choices and gets brought up to B, but I actually think he's a C tier tank. The nerfs that we got in 6v6, the single fire strike, the fact that he can't aim his charge as well, they just make him so much harder to play. He's amazing in the current style of play, but the fact of the matter is that his changes, I think, need to be reverted personally. Coming up on Roadhog. Roadhog's, I'm going to feel pretty much the same about Roadhog. I don't think one shot's back. I've tried and haven't seen it quite as much. Hero pools are just so much higher that landing a one shot is actually very difficult off of fully healthy people. Plus, so many heroes, especially the ones that I think are very good in this current meta, just have the ability to get out of it. Not to mention the fact that Suzu, Rig Bash, so many things can interrupt it and stop you from landing that one shot that he just doesn't have it. So I'm actually going to put him ahead of Ryan in C tier because with Doomfist and Hazard and even like Junker Queen being where they're at, Hook is just a great ability to kind of control those heroes for a moment. Sigma. Sigma's gonna go into the top of my A tier. Sigma is absolutely fantastic at this style of gameplay. He is the the tank that is going to play that mid-range game and play around your other tank. He just has that ability to slide in and out of the main tank role, which is just super fantastic. Next up, we have Winston. Winston's gonna go into my A tier. Kind of like, I think he's ahead of Ramatra, but behind Malga. He jumps in, does a bunch of damage, jumps out. If you have double dive, he's super strong. Being able to drop the bubble on a Doomfist, Hazard, Wrecking Ball, even Junker Queen, and just give them that extra survivability. And he can dive onto the Widows and the Ashes that we see pretty consistently. So I'm always going to think that Monkey has a great place. He's also doing really well in 5v5 right now, so I think he's just balanced super well at the moment. Hammond. The Wrecking Ball goes S tier. I have yet to lose a game where I start on Wrecking Ball. He is brutal. He doesn't even have to interact with the team that much. He just has to displace them when they least expect it. And the fact is he's almost entirely unkillable. I think he probably needs to see some changes if 6v6 comes back fully. Next up is Zarya. Zarya is also going to be in our S tier. These three are in no particular order, although I think if I was going to order them, it's probably something like this. Zarya is the beast of all beasts. She comes in, bubbles the other tank, keeps them from dying, and then you swap. And all of a sudden, Zarya's in her face, and she's got the bubble, and she's the tank you're dealing with now. The next thing you know, she is charged fully and melting everything in front of her. Zarya Ball makes Ball absolutely unkillable. Same thing with Doomfist. She actually brings Rhine back up into B just by how she plays. I don't know what kind of changes could be made to bring her down or in line, or if everything just, or if some of these tanks just need to be brought up to meet her. But right now, I think one of your tanks needs to be Zarya. So that's where I stand with the tanks. I think all in all that everything's pretty fun. I've played a number of Hog and Reinhardt games. Honestly, they're still fun to play. They still have the ability. 6v6 is so much better than 5v5. I cannot understate that fact. So I'm pretty stoked to get more games in and keep playing this mode while we have it. That is kind of just my opinion on all this right now. So if you are interested in seeing more of my content, go ahead and follow me here. Or if you want, you can come see me on Twitch, www.twitch.tv/crunchax. We stream every day, or at least almost every day, from 7 p.m. to at least midnight. Love to see you there. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the flip side.